Hello, everybody. Wow, packed to the brim. Can free steaks for everyone. Can am I blocking the screen? Doesn't matter. You can still see what the idea is. So those of you that don't know me, my name's Andre Kauerauf. I'm a regenerative farmer from the Midlands in KwaZulu Natal, little town called Nottingham Road. Whoop. Um, and that's where it is, roughly, in South Africa. 2.5 hours inland from Durban. 200 hectares is the land of the farm. We get obviously summer rainfall, winter is our dry period, and the farm is basically mostly south facing, but we got indigenous bush, and about 140 odd hectares of the total is grazing and grassland. So that's the kind of farm specs out of the way. But at the moment, as far as I know, we're the only farm that you can buy direct chicken, beef, and eggs and pay with Bitcoin. And we sell direct to consumer, which means you can just order on an online store and then we ship it directly to you without without really going through shops. So yeah, this is my family. The farm's called Bramley, and what happened was 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, 2021, is we switched to a Bitcoin standard, and what prompted that is basically a process of elimination. So, to understand regenerative farming, I'm going to give you a bit of a background on that. So, regenerative farming is pretty much the exact opposite of conventional factory farming. So, we are a diversified farm. We don't do monocrop. We don't do one single thing in high concentrations. So we've got cattle, chickens, goats, pigs, everything. And turns out nature works that way. There's strength in diversity, and by sort of pairing our enterprises, our animals, and things together, you can get a lot more productivity out of the farm. Conventional agriculture just kind of specializes on one thing: growing maize or wheat or beef or sheep, and and to maximize profitability on a farm like that, you need to bring in a lot of synthetic inputs, either be it antibiotics or growth hormones, or bringing in soya to feed your animals, soya and grain, and therefore you get higher yield, produce more, sell more, and try and remain in business that way. Conventional farms pretty much buffer the seasonal effects of farming as well with debt. So they go to the bank and they say, give me a loan so I can buy livestock now when the prices are good, or give me money to buy seed and fertilizer so I can plant, and then hopefully make a profit by the end of the season. Regenerative agriculture tries to turn that on its head and basically work with the seasons. We use the land as the bank, as it were. We try and sequester carbon, increase the soil organic matter in the soil so that it holds more water. Therefore, we don't have as much effects of drought because the water stays on the farm where it's supposed to be, and it doesn't just run off and flow down the river. But it's still obviously variable, and that's fine. You know, that nature was designed like that. We need to get cold. In winter, we go down to -7 every day, and that's great because then that breaks the life cycle of the parasites that affect livestock and crops as well. But I'll talk on how I'm planning to use Bitcoin as a sort of buffer for that as well. But long story short, process of elimination, regenerative agriculture, and because we don't have this crutch of the medications and the external inputs of the farm, we're continuously trying to look for ways to improve efficiency and look for efficiency gains on our farming methods. So there's all sorts of cool techniques that regenerative agriculture uses, like holistic management, high density rotational grazing, and stacking enterprises, running our flock of chickens ahead of the cattle, for example. They sanitize the pasture. They act as a dead-end host for parasites and things like that. And then they also benefit from the fertility that the cattle leave behind, because there's dung and manure everywhere, which flies lay their eggs in, the larvae hatch, and the chickens come through and eat all of that, and it's super good protein for the chickens. So there's all sorts of benefits to be gained between that symbiosis. And if you're constantly looking for new ways to improve efficiency on your farming methods, you're constantly asking yourself, like, how can I do this better? If I'm gonna do X with my time, moving 50 chickens takes the same amount of time as moving 500 chickens in a movable enclosure, for example. So by process of elimination, you start thinking, well, what is the best form of money, and what is the properties of all the money, the best ways are encompassed in Bitcoin. So what conventional farming, factory farming also does is they go into debt with the land and the soil and the animal welfare. So in farming terms, that's called externalized costs, and that's not taken into account in cheap mass-produced food, because no one has to pay for it. The animals can't talk, so they're not crying out to be paid for being mistreated, and you can't really see the degradation in the topsoil, or no one has to pay for that. So basically, it's just borrowing money from the future and making gains in the short term. So regenerative farming is increasing the commons rather than depleting the commons, with the use of livestock. And this is a crucial thing. This is the thing that makes all the environmentalists jump up and down, is because regenerative agriculture proposes that the thing that they're trying to get rid of, animal farming, is the thing that will actually improve land management, improve our stewardship of the land, and improve the commons rather than destroying it. Yeah, shame. She can't help it. Yeah. Yeah. So that got me looking into Bitcoin. And very quickly you come across a thing in America called the Beef Initiative, and that's what I'm trying to get off the ground here in South Africa. And what the Beef Initiative is it was started by a guy called Texas Slim, who's also a farmer or rancher, as they say, and a musician. And his whole thing was, well, regenerative farmers are producing high quality products in a regenerative way. They're doing all this hard work, and then all they're doing at the end of the day is just converting it back to degenerative money. And so they, it seems like a big waste. On top of that, because he's a Bitcoiner, he also realized that Bitcoiners value high nutrition food, especially beef, and therefore there's a new market for regenerative farmers as well to tap into. And why beef? So it's just, if you're already thinking in terms of what is the best form of money I can use, you're also going to start asking yourself, what's the best form of food that I can eat? And by process of elimination, again, if you look at all the possible foods that humans can eat, you arrive at the conclusion that beef is the most nutrient dense package that you can get to consume as a human being. Like Bitcoin, it's the distillation of all the best properties that you want in your food. But there is a small distinction as well between feedlot beef, conventional farm beef, and regenerative beef, and specifically grass-fed. Why? Well, grass-fed beef is raised 100% on grass and finished on grass, and that's a big thing, because at the moment, or conventional beef farming, is they take the animals at around 6 to 8 months old, put them in a feedlot, and just feed them grain to get and hormones and antibiotics to keep them alive, to get them to grow as fast as possible, to get them to slaughter weight as fast as possible, and the faster you can do that, the more money you make. With grass-fed beef, you can't do that. You're just relying purely on the grazing capacity of your land, and that can take up to 24 to 28 months versus like 12 months. So it's more than double in most cases. So yeah, it's crazy to think, like, why would you've worked with this animal for over 2 years, it finally gets to the stage of butchering it, and you've hung it, it's dry aged for 2 weeks, it's beautiful, and then you just sell it for 30 fiat. It's not incompatible at the highest level. Now, everybody always has an issue with lab-grown meat, and obviously stay away from it as far as you can, and insect protein and all that. But we're already there in terms of like highly processed, factory-made so-called food. You can go right now into a supermarket and buy cream cheese that doesn't have any cream or any cheese in it. So we're already at the stage where it's basically lab made. It's empty calories. You have to ask yourself when you're buying food, how much food is actually in your food, and there actually isn't a lot of food in most foods. So there's nothing on the label that tells you what the nutrient density of what you're buying has. It's got a whole bunch of stuff that's mostly just copy and pasted, and that's okay for like labeling regulations, blah blah blah. But it doesn't tell you how much nutrition you're actually getting for you and your family. Back to the beef initiative. So these guys basically created a platform where like-minded, pretty much all regenerative farmers can advertise their stuff. People can order through this platform. It's centralized. That's good. In some cases, you need good old centralization. But their mission statement here is to build decentralized networks, and this involves connecting value-aligned stakeholders in the food chain, including farmers, processors, distributors, butchers, retail shops, restaurants, and consumers. So, yeah, that's very valid. It can't just be farmer to you pay me in Bitcoin, that's cool. Now I've got Bitcoin, I need to pay my butcher in Bitcoin, I need to pay this guy. So yeah, that's part of the thing to keep in mind as well. I'd like for you all to start buying your beef from local regenerative farmers, and that way to start introducing them to this idea. But you also need to talk to your butchers and anybody involved in the whole supply chain of that beef. Now, this is great. I mean, America, whoop-de-doo. But would this work actually in South Africa? I think it can, because when we started farming, we were a first generation farm, and starting a business is one thing, but starting a new farming business is even more risky and tricky. So let me just see how I'm doing with time here. And so what we had to do when we started our farm business is that we started a model called Rico. And Rico was started in Finland by also another small-scale diversified farm. And they just leveraged the power of, at the time, Facebook groups, but now it's basically all run on WhatsApp. And it's a whole bunch of small farmers. They get together, they agree on a meeting place and a time, and they post on a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group every week what they've got available and for sale. And the consumers join that group, and then they can see what's going on and order with each producer directly. And then we all meet in one place in town, in a parking lot or in a park, somewhere public, for an hour. All the farmers come there. There's about 15 of us, and we exchange our orders. The benefit to the consumer is that they get access to dairy, cheese, veg, and beef, and whatever they want, all at the same place, and it's convenient. And they can basically shop online, because it's like it's an online farmers market. But it also doesn't waste the farmer's time sitting at a traditional farmer's market for half a day or whatever, and you end up either selling out early or taking half your stuff back, which is fine if you've got frozen stuff, but if you've harvested a whole bunch of carrots, you can't go and stick them back in the ground. So yeah, so Rico, great model. We've been running that since 2019, and it's still growing and it's still working. And we're now doing that in three different towns basically, and that's how we built our farm business up. So decentralized food networks work, and because it's currently working. No. We meet the consumers that have ordered at the same place where the farmers meet. So, yeah. Throughout the week, the customers place their orders with the various farmers, and then both the consumers and the producers meet in the same spot and get their orders and pay, if they haven't prepaid already. Yeah. Okay. So how are we going to do this? This is what everybody needs. It's the latest in cold storage hardware. It's called a chest freezer. I couldn't help it. Um, so, like I said, go out, find your nearest beef farmer, preferably regenerative beef farmer, and order half a cow at least, and fill up your freezer. That'll definitely get their attention. Then once you've got their attention, then you can start talking to them about payment method and why Bitcoin is better. And then tell them to get in touch with me, and I will then take it from there. Get them. No. Yeah, so that's me on X, or you can find my other details on my website, bramley.co.za. There's the online store as well. I have shipped meat all over the country. That's possible, but that's not sustainable for me to do forever. We need a lot more. I think, we need to replace mass production with production by the masses, and why not do it with beef? Thanks. See you tomorrow.